5 years after the release of Sonic Forces, Sonic Frontiers has finally reached the end of its development cycle. In other words, the game is complete, DLC notwithstanding. I say 5 years because although Sonic Team did clarify that the final build of the game we're about to get isn't 5 years in age, they have been working on the concept for this game since 2017, and once in a while they had to scrap it and start back over when it went in a direction that they did not envision. Tends to happen in development. Now of course, everybody's final vision for how a game could and should turn out is different, there's no getting around that. But Sonic Team's end goal with Sonic Frontiers has clearly won over the majority. Whether you're a returning Sonic fan who grew dissatisfied with the state of the franchise within the last decade, but came back because of the hype surrounding Frontiers, or you're a newer Sonic fan, or even if you're a non-Sonic fan, Sonic Frontiers is going to be the kind of game that will have at least one or two things that will catch your eye. There's something in it for everybody, and that's amazing. Nearly everybody who got some hands-on time with Sonic Frontiers has walked away feeling a little more than pleased by what they've experienced. And now within the next 2.5 weeks, a fully completed Sonic Frontiers, said to be the next evolution to the Sonic formula, will finally make it out into the public. Speaking of the public, Morio Kishimoto, director of Sonic Frontiers, told us through Twitter that he's taken all of our feedback into account, but not all of it could be implemented into the final product. He does go on to say though, that Sonic Team did everything they could possibly do until the moment the development wrapped up. I can only hope that this feedback included comments on, and this is just me going by hearsay honestly, how stiff the controls felt in cyberspace, or how awkward it felt to fight against the Ashura Guardian and some of the bosses that the testers may have come by. The Ashura Guardian is the one where you run up its leg and then attack its vulnerable area while trying to avoid the lasers surrounding it. And I've not heard the greatest feedback regarding that boss or the controls in cyberspace. There's obviously other things you can comment on, like the pop-in, but those two are what I've heard the most about, and hopefully Sonic Team did their best to clean them up. But hearing directly from Kishimoto himself that they've taken our feedback to heart is reassuring, and what's also reassuring is how extensively this game has been tested, internally and externally. I would assume that testing your game before release is a common practice, but has there ever been any Sonic game that received a degree of testing that Sonic Frontiers clearly got? I don't know if that's the case. I'd like to think it is, but man, with how hard they've been going with game's marketing, especially in Japan, they really want Frontiers to succeed. Now, you should want any game that you develop to succeed. Why would you make it if you weren't confident that it would catch anybody's eyes? And so it would be foolish of me to assume that they weren't just as hopeful for their past titles to succeed, even Sonic Lost World and the Sonic Boom spin-off series. But something about the vibe surrounding Frontiers tells me the Sonic Team aren't simply anticipating a good future, they're ready for it, as if they're certain that it will 100% happen. Yes, I had to throw a Sonic CD reference in there, and you should expect this from me frequently. Also, Tomoya Ohtani was just in the studio last week, working on applying the finishing touches to the soundtrack for Sonic Frontiers. Along with the game, the soundtrack itself is now complete, and you're not going to believe this when you hear it. The final number of tracks for it is 150. 150. You heard that correctly. And these tracks have a combined runtime of 6 hours and 37 minutes. That is over a quarter of a whole day. I don't have any exact estimates, but if Sonic Frontiers is not the Sonic game with the largest soundtrack ever, I'm going to be impressed. Like, I'm pretty sure I can think of some Sonic game with pretty beefy OSTs themselves, like Sonic Unleashed. But Ohtani also goes on to say that this is a large-scale production that he has never worked on before. Guys, be prepared for your playlist to be packed. I've listened to I'm Here non-stop every day ever since they shared that sample of it with us, and that was just a simplified version of the track. Imagine what the full version is going to be like? I don't think you're ready for it, because my body sure isn't. And holy crap, that DJ mix of the cyberspace music was so hot that I actually need to go get some water. So yeah guys, As much as I can't believe I'm saying this, because it feels like they only showed off Sonic Frontiers at the Game Awards yesterday. How has it already been almost a year since?
Oh my god! Look at this! Holy crap, what is this?
But the game as a whole is finally complete. Sonic Frontiers is all finished up. And you know what that means. Pretty soon they'll be shipping out copies of it to retailers worldwide, and they'll also be prepping it for download on digital stores. You better get ready for spoilers, because you know those are happening. The game's definitely gonna break Street Date. In fact, I can't think of a game that hasn't broken Street Date, and if there are any, they're likely few in number. Personally, I'm not too concerned about Frontier spoilers, but I know that not everybody else will feel the same way. When it comes to movies, not that I watch too many of those, I'm very anti-spoiler, but for games, I'm not as bothered by them. I don't know, that might just make me a bit of a hypocrite. What do you think? And also, I have covered Frontiers related leaks on this channel, so I don't really have any business complaining about being spoiled. But I know that not everybody else is as okay with the idea of spoilers, so I'm just giving y'all a heads up. Since Sonic Frontiers is finished with development, it also means that Sonic Team was indeed able to meet their deadline for its release near the end of this year. And at one point, I wondered if they would be able to pull that off. They'd already delayed the game once from last year, and after watching the first wave of footage back in June, I started to wonder if another delay would be necessary. But obviously, the reception of the game quickly improved as they showed off more about it, and before we knew it, it was as if the June incident, as some have called it, never happened to begin with. It's crazy how things can do such a 180 turn. Without a doubt, there are a lot of lessons to be learned from everything Frontiers related that unfolded within the past half a year. But Morio Kishimoto is already setting his sights on his next game. Like, look at this guy. He said it himself. He spent the past 5 years working on Frontiers, as has the rest of Sonic Team obviously, and he's already thinking about his next game. I applaud his enthusiasm, but man, please, take yourself a break. You've earned it. All of Sonic Team has earned it. Although I have said it myself, if you're working for a company that specializes in game development, and you're close to being done with your current project, you're gonna want to put aside some time to start thinking about what you'll do next. And if Sonic Frontiers does as well as we're hoping that it will, this game is meant to influence the next decade of Sonic releases, so the bar for the next game is gonna be really, really high. Still, I wish them luck with whatever comes next. Please make it the third Sonic Adventure game like Azuka's been talking about recently, please, 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 please! But for now, we as a community should prepare for the arrival of the next mainline Sonic game, which we have spent years waiting for. And that does it for another Sonic Frontiers video, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, drop those likes and comments, and don't forget to sub and ring that bell because of course there will be more videos coming up. Thank you again, and I will catch you all next time. Until then, peace! Blue blurs for life, take care.